Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're jumping straight into something pretty serious that unfolded in New Mexico on July 8th.
That's right, a really critical situation.
Yeah, we're talking about Ruidoso. Heavy monsoonal rains, a flash flood emergency hitting this mountain resort village.
Devastating stuff.
So our goal here, our mission for this deep dive, is to really unpack it all. You know, what happened immediately, the impact, the response.
And importantly, the why behind it. Put it in context.
Exactly. And look at what might come next. We've got a lot of sources here, news reports, some scientific analysis to give you that comprehensive picture without, hopefully, overwhelming you.
And it's about understanding, isn't it? Not just listing facts, but grasping why this matters, what we can learn.
Right. Let's start with the sheer power of this event. The Rio Ruidoso, it just surged. The provisional record crest was around 20.24 feet.
Which is way above its major flood stage, typically about 15 feet. A huge difference.
Huge. And the human impact was immediate. We're talking 85 to 100 swiftwater rescues.
Wow. 85 to 100. That's an incredible number.
It really shows the scale, right? People trapped in homes and cars. Specifically mentioned was the Gavilan trailer park.
Yeah, those situations are always terrifying.
And the visuals, well, they were something else. There was footage, quite dramatic, of an entire house just swept away. Yeah, detached, tumbling downstream with cars, debris, just a raging torrent.
Unbelievable. And that speaks to the infrastructure damage too, I imagine.
Oh, definitely.
Roads, bridges submerged, mudslides were widespread.
Yeah.
And some really concerning reports about gas leaks near homes that were just washed away.
Scary stuff.
Which leads to that environmental factor we need to discuss, the burn scars.
Ah, yes, from last year's wildfire.
Exactly. Those scars dramatically reduced how much rain the ground could actually absorb.
So the water just runs off faster.
Much faster, and with more force. It really intensified the flooding and the landslides. It's a critical piece of the puzzle.
You mentioned the burn scars intensifying the flooding. Can you maybe explain that a bit more? What actually happens to the ground?
Absolutely. It's quite a stark effect. When a wildfire burns really hot, it basically cooks the top layer of the soil. This can create a sort of waxy, water-repellent layer, sometimes called hydrophobic soil.
Hydrophobic, so it pushes water away.
Precisely. Instead of soaking in like it normally would, the rain just hits this layer and immediately runs off the surface.
Okay.
And because the vegetation is also gone, the trees, the shrubs that usually hold soil together and slow water down.
Once they're burned away.
Exactly. So you get this very rapid runoff. It picks up speed, gathers ash, soil, rocks, debris.
Turning into those dangerous debris flows.
That's exactly it. They move incredibly fast and can carry immense destructive power. So it's a double whammy.
Yeah.
No vegetation to slow the water, and the ground itself actively shedding it. That's why burn areas are so prone to severe flash floods and landslides.
That makes a lot more sense now. A terrifying combination. Now, about the human toll. Specifically from this flood, the one on July 8th in Ruidoso.
Yes, clarity is important here.
Right. So, while reports mentioned at least 3 people missing or swept away, as of our latest information, there are no confirmed fatalities directly linked to this specific Ruidoso event.
Okay, that's crucial.
Several people were hospitalized, thankfully in stable condition, but we need to address some potential confusion. There were earlier very tragic reports of fatalities in the wider New Mexico region around that time. A young girl, a boy, a middle-aged man found deceased.
Right, I saw those reports too.
It's really important for you listening to know that based on the sources we have, those earlier deaths seem to be from separate incidents and are not currently attributed to this Ruidoso flash flood we're focusing on today. We want to be really accurate about this event.
Absolutely. Distinguishing between events is vital for clear understanding.
So amidst all that immediate chaos, the emergency response really kicked into high gear.
You had local teams, but also the National Guard, Department of Homeland Security.
Yeah, all involved in those incredibly dangerous swiftwater rescues.
A massive effort.
Yeah.
And support for those who lost their homes.
3 emergency shelters were set up pretty quickly, providing that immediate safety net.
Good to hear. And the state government responded fast too.
They did. The governor declared a state of emergency.
And allocated funds, right?
Yeah.
I think it's $750,000 for immediate relief.
Yes, $750,000. And critically, the warning systems, they were activated.
That's key. Flood watches were issued.
And those wireless emergency alerts, the WEAs, went out, telling people specifically, seek higher ground immediately.
So the warnings were there. which is vital, of course.
It is encouraging, yeah. But I wonder, did the sources give any indication about how effectively people received or could act on those warnings, given how fast these things happen?
That's always the challenge with flash floods, isn't it?
Yeah.
The sources confirmed the alerts were sent, but they didn't really detail the individual reach or reaction time for everyone. The sheer number of rescues, though, that 85 to 100 number,
Suggests many were caught regardless.
it certainly suggests that, yeah, even with a warning, the speed can be overwhelming. We're talking minutes sometimes, especially in complex terrain like Ruidoso. Getting the warning is one thing. Being able to safely act on it instantly is another.
A really sobering point. And this Ruidoso flood, it wasn't happening in a vacuum, was it?
No, sadly not.
Just days before there were those horrific floods down in Texas.
Yeah, the reports from Texas were grim. Over 100 fatalities mentioned, and I think over 160 people still missing at the time.
Puts the scale of recent extreme weather into a stark light, doesn't it?
It really does. And it connects to that bigger picture, climate change.
How so?
Well, scientists consistently point out that a warmer atmosphere holds more moisture.
Right.
More moisture means the potential for heavier downpours, increasing the frequency and intensity of these extreme rainfall events. We're seeing patterns shift.
And locally in New Mexico.
Monsoonal flash floods, they're, a known phenomenon in the summer, July, August, typically. That part isn't new.
But the intensity?
The intensity, yes. And crucially, the interaction with those burn scars. As we discussed, those areas just can't handle the water like they used to. They become channeled for rapid runoff and dangerous debris flows.
So looking ahead, what's next for Ruidoso, the immediate future?
Search and rescue is obviously still ongoing. Teams will be carefully going through debris as the water levels drop.
A difficult task.
Very difficult. And vigilance is key. Officials are stressing caution because, well, it's still monsoon season.
More rain is possible, likely even.
Expected, really, in the coming weeks, so the risk isn't over.
And longer term.
Big challenges. Significant erosion control will likely be needed. Infrastructure, especially roads and bridges in those vulnerable burn scar zones, will need serious reinforcement.
Rebuilding stronger, essentially.
It has to be. This isn't just recovery, it's adaptation, especially considering how the landscape itself has been altered by the fires. It's a long road ahead for that community.
So wrapping this up, this deep dive really highlights how a natural event like monsoonal rain
Can be massively amplified.
Yeah, amplified by other factors, like these burn scars, leading to truly widespread and immediate devastation. It's all interconnected.
It absolutely is. And maybe the thought to leave you with is this. We're seeing more of these compound events, right? Wildfires followed by floods.
It seems that way.
How does that challenge our old ways of thinking about disaster prep? When one disaster fundamentally changes the risk profile for the next one, it forces us to reconsider what community resilience really means.
When the threats themselves are linked and evolving.
Exactly. How do we build resilience when the ground rules, literally the ground itself, keep changing? That's the tough question these events pose.
A very powerful point to consider. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We hope this gave you some valuable insights, and we encourage you to keep exploring these important issues.